In 2005, producers John McColgan and Moya Doherty, creators of the world-famous river dance phenomenon, began work on a new project, The Pirate Queen, a 400-year-old Irish legend that they would transform into a spectacular Broadway show, musical theatre on an unprecedented scale. The producers had chosen an epic from another time, another world. The question was, would it make the leap from ancient saga to the Broadway stage? The legend of the Pirate Queen tells of Grace O'Malley, a rebel, a fighter, commander of a fleet of galleys and her own private army, an irrepressible woman in a man's world. Her story begins here, Clúibeair on the west of Ireland, nearly 500 years ago. Grace O'Malley was a true rebel in every sense of the word. A wild, unyielding spirit who set herself up against the rules and conventions of her time. She railed against the prescribed role for women and the tyranny imposed by men.
Don't just stand there mewling. Trust in me, I'll show you what the female sex can do.
The era in which Grace lived, lest we forget it, was the 16th century, a time when the notion of an independent woman was completely unknown. It was a time of empire and exploration. Cortez, Galileo, Michelangelo, Shakespeare, and the Spanish Armada. But for Grace O'Malley and her people, it was the most pivotal and dangerous time in all history.
On stage, as in life, Grace O'Malley symbolizes Ireland's struggle against the colonial might of England.
Here at Rockfleet Castle, Grace O'Malley reigned unchallenged at the height of her powers. But all around her, the old Gaelic tradition, its custom, its language, the very independence that Grace O'Malley symbolized, was under attack by the colonial forces of an old enemy.
In the end, Grace's courage leads her to an historic confrontation with the most powerful leader of the 16th century world.
Standing humbled and spy who hold nations in thrall. That I've lived, only now do I see that a woman in all it is.
The fact that this leader was Queen Elizabeth I of England, another woman, is little short of poetic.
The Pirate Queen is an epic, true story of passion, courage, and war, set to music by two legendary collaborators. Composer Claude-Michel Schönberg and his writing partner Alain Boublil are giants in the world of musical theatre. Together they created the worldwide hit musical Miss Saigon and the phenomenal Les Miserables, now entering its third decade of performance. This is the first time they've committed to a project that wasn't their own, and their first Irish theme.
John and I had this idea to do a musical on the life of Grace O'Malley. We thought, who should we ask? And obviously, the first people we thought of were Alain and Claude-Michel, because I think Les Miserables is my favorite musical of all time, and that is a musical that makes you laugh and makes you cry. And I know during one of our early meetings with Claude-Michel, we said we want to cry. He said, I will make you cry.
What we've been listening to up to now is Claude-Michel sits in his house in France at a keyboard, and he plays all the instruments, and he sings la-las in a sort of a very theatrical French accent, so it's so that's what we've been hearing for the last couple of years.
All the notes. Ti-da-dang.
But to hear it this week in the hands of these musicians, and to hear it live, and to hear it played with soul and feeling. I'm finding it a moving week.
The heart and the soul that's in the music is extraordinary. And Claude-Michel, I mean, he's not an Irish composer and he does not want to write Irish music, but he wants to embrace the rhythms and the feel and sense of it. It does bring out what I've noticed in this week, the Irishness of the music, which is extraordinary.
What we are interested in is telling a story, so everything we have to do is storytelling. So we are taking some of the ingredients from the Irish music, which are now so well known all around the world, but we have to turn them to serve what we are trying to say, to serve the story we are trying to tell on a musical theatre stage, not the other way around.
They are outstanding musicians, and that's what I love about them, because they are giving exactly what I was dreaming about, the sound of the show. And today, I don't know if there is any other musician in the world that can deliver the music the way they are delivering it.
Already inspired by Celtic music, a new layer of complexity is added to Claude-Michel and Alain's score, traditional Irish dance. Confident that the score will work on stage, the creative team set out to convince the theatre owners of America.
When the letter from John McColgan arrived one morning, I must say that Claude-Michel and myself were, well, surprised. And we were saying no. And at the same time, Claude-Michel had composed half of the overture. So instead of saying bluntly yes or no, we said, we would like to play you something that we think could be the basis of something which could become something.
With the scene set, the next challenge would be to recreate the land and seascapes of the 16th century on stage. No easy task, even for three-time Tony Award-winning set designer Eugene Lee.
I could spend so much money on that last effect, it would make you crazy, okay? I mean, you know, so I don't know.
Design isn't the only passion Eugene gets to indulge.
I've been sailing all my life, so I thought, what a perfect project.
Among other things, he's building an entire tall ship on stage and adding a new dimension to the word rigging.
It's gusty and windy and full of tempest and love and longing. All of those aspects of the human adventure are a part of this musical force.
Storm ahead! Storm ahead! Down the sail!
4 months before the show, the principals are flown to Dublin for the Sitz probe, or sing-through. Among them, Queen Elizabeth, Tiernan, and the pirate queen herself. Alain and Claude-Michel, with co-lyricist John Dempsey, have written and scored 20 new tunes, none of which have been performed yet. That's about to change. They now have 1 day, 12 musicians, and the principal singers to try them out on.
However you can imagine in your head, abstractly, how things are going to sound or are going to be, you need the reality of an orchestra playing the music and singers delivering the words.
After 6 months of exhaustive auditioning in Ireland, Britain and the US, the part of Grace O'Malley is played by the star of Wicked and The Boy from Oz, Californian Stephanie J. Block.
Much as the rocks are to the waves, ever in time and tide are true, such as the stars are to the sky, so it is I belong to you.
Something inside me leapt that I went, I think I could play this woman. And what was so attractive to me was this balance that she was able to carry with both her feminine and masculine side.
Tiernan, Grace's lover and Stephanie's leading man, is Londoner and Broadway newcomer Hadley Fraser.
The score itself is a stunning piece of writing. In equal measures, it's thrilling and heartbreaking, and it's one of those things that is a joy to sing.
Hand in hand as one.
Gotta move back, lads, and bring us about. Buy some time till the swine come aboard. Once they'll heal, we'll have no choice, I fear, but to fight them by hand or by sword.
The challenging role of Grace's English counterpart, Queen Elizabeth I, is played by New Yorker Linda Balgord.
She's an amazing character, so rich, and I mean, this really isn't her story, but you really get a good view into life, difficulties.
The Queen demands to hear the news of the world.
Much to the relief of producers and cast, the Sitz probe goes well. But Claude-Michel and Alain, both notorious perfectionists, remain cautious.
Well, this kind of event, I'm only interested in discovering the flows, you know, what doesn't work. Oui, mais alors c'est pas...
The quest for perfection doesn't end with the score. One of the great challenges of the Pirate Queen is costume design.
Nothing can compare with being in 20 yards of French silk and the jewels, and it's very transformative, it really is.
Dressing the show in the splendor and spectacle of the 16th century is down to Tony Award-winning designer Martin Pacladines.
Real crucial thing. Nice. Yeah, I was about to say, they fit really well. What do I do now?
Painstaking research into the ornate fashions of Elizabethan England and Gaelic Ireland results in a monumental costume department. Rare silk, tweed, linen and leather are brought together in elaborate multi-layered gowns, robes and authentic military uniforms.
If a girl can't sail, if I can't know this joy, then somehow I will be a boy.
Studio rehearsals begin on New York's 42nd Street, where for the first time the entire cast and creative team meet.
The problem we have playing Grace O'Malley and growing is Stephanie J. Block.
I couldn't believe the magnitude. I could not believe what I was seeing. The family portrait, as they call it, with everybody involved, was sitting there to take a picture. And everybody seemed to be in place, and there was this one lone chair in the front row, in the center, between Claude-Michel and Alain, and I thought, that's gotta be my chair. And I couldn't believe that I was going to be sitting front row and center with this huge cast and magnificent creators. You know, I've dreamed and I have prayed for a moment like this, a production like this.
Every day starts with extensive physical and vocal warm-ups. And continues under the guidance of musical director Julian Kelly.
Part of my job in the rehearsal room now is to teach the music, the pitches, the rhythms, and the words to the principal performers and the ensemble performers. The idea being that I'm communicating to the actors the ideas that were conceived in the composer's mind's ear when he first began work on this project.
These men's voices are just thick and strong, and they tell the story beautifully.
This is a story told through a unique fusion of dance styles, one of which is completely new to most of the cast.
Learning Irish dancing has been quite a challenge. It's different from tap. I'm used to doing tap dancing, and that's very different. It's like the whole style of it is very different. It's fun, though.
Fusing and coordinating the many dance elements of the show is choreographer Carol Levy-Joyce.
I suppose the concerns for me is making sure everybody is happy with the tempos, because you have the Irish dance style, and then you have the modern style, and then you have our actors dancing some of our progressive dances and long dances.
In order to capture all the passion of Alain's script, director Frank Galati insists on a crash course in the life and times of the Pirate Queen and a detailed read-through with all 42 cast members.
Just to have the opportunity to go through and read the text without singing, and just to hear like what exactly it is we're saying, so you don't get caught up in the tunes and you don't get caught up in melody.
Ireland?
Hardly worth mentioning.
No, please mention it.
Just yesterday, Your Highness, a galleon.
People bring up things that you might not have thought about. You know, everyone comes at it from a different perspective, and that's really very valuable.
To us, Your Highness, to track down the Blackguard ship. What's to discuss, Your Highness? Everything's pip.
One boat struck the master of iron and soul. Difficult, your father said, this business of the king. One day out already, you have a handle on the thing.
What is our task as pirates? What are we after besides a booty? You know, I mean, are we out fighting a political war yet?
To understand why the Pirate Queen gained her legendary reputation, you need to understand her family history. It wasn't the territory of the O'Malleys, but the sea that truly defined them. Here on Clare Island, you can still see the family motto written in stone, Terra Maric Potens, powerful by land and by sea.
To the O'Malleys, this bay and the wild waters of the Atlantic beyond were their personal domain, to be defended and exploited to the hilt. It was a way of life that Grace described as maintaining power by land and by sea. The English, of course, had a different word for it: piracy.
Know your heart, and this news grows dim. I'll be there. I'll be there. Heaven speed me by your side as you meet me. I'll be there for you.
It's a long way from the coves of Clew Bay to 42nd Street on Broadway. Boublil and Schönberg's The Pirate Queen, the true story of rebel sea captain Grace O'Malley, a remarkable woman who took on the most powerful empire of the 16th century.
This is Broadway musical at its very best. All the passion and spectacle, the epic nature of this incredible story of this extraordinary woman who lived in the 16th century.
An ancient tale brought to life right here on 42nd Street, New York.
Hiya, Costcom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block, and I play the part of Grania O'Malley, this terrific, amazing actor role.
Sorry, can I just ask, what does the J stand for?
Just get out of my business is what it stands for. Castcom.
Castcom?
Castcom.
What is Castcom?
A first for any Broadway show, Castcom is an online diary room, allowing fans, friends and family to follow the cast of The Pirate Queen from first rehearsal right through to the opening night on Broadway.
Still look cute and I look a fright. Look at me.
There you go.
Ah, you get to see me like this every day.
On April 5th, 2007, The Pirate Queen opens on 42nd Street, New York, but not before being tried and tested off-Broadway. 700 miles off-Broadway, to be exact. In early August 2006, the first of 30 trucks full of technical equipment, props, and Eugene Lee's massive set pulls up at the stage door of the Cadillac Palace Theatre, Chicago. Out comes 10 tons of lights, 80 miles of cable, and 4,000 nuts and bolts, and that's just for starters.
The Pirate Queen production and design team have put enough hardware in there to run a small country.
You never really know when you're putting something together for the first time what it will take. You can imagine it, you can plan for it, but you never know until you do it.
From assembling the sets to installing lighting rigs, electronics and state-of-the-art fire effects, the technical crew have a huge workload.
What we're doing at this point in the show is we're mapping it. We're mapping every moment. So every piece of scenery that moves and every lighting cue that happens and every choreographic step that takes place on the stage, we have to step through it in a very slow fashion.
Technical rehearsals are an essential part of preparations for the show. But the work isn't limited to the crew. Every cast member has a part to play.
Incorporating all of the costumes, lights, sets, it's really becoming quite a masterpiece.
Dry to a husk and no more. Life turned to dust on the land.
But it does take a lot of patience. But have you ever seen anything like it?
Not since I was 9.
Really?
It's big, it's grand, it's glorious, it's magnificent, and it's very, very, very challenging. We're trying to weave together the elements of music and design and special effects and stage fighting and stagecraft, and it takes a long time to create that detailed tapestry.
Thanks, man. Every actor has a microphone on. They're actually built into their wigs. Some of them have a mic in their feet as well. And we're able to do a few very special things with the sound for the production. We put in a tag onto the performers. This tag is a location tag, so it tells us where they're standing on stage, telling our mixing board where to pan and where to move the sound so that you will hear the sound come from the area that they're standing.
State-of-the-art mapping technology allows every dancer in the show to take center stage.
It was another stage for Irish dance. We had seen Irish dance in Riverdance, and now we were attempting to put it into a story, to tell a story. So that has been a great challenge.
I've had a little bit of high drama, yeah. We were staging one of the big fights where actually Hadley and I beat each other up.
It's about our only scene, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our only scene is when we're beating each other up.
Yeah.
And
who wins?
You always win.
Right.
He's the hero.
Well,
Zero hero.
just to let you know.
Even though we are adversaries on stage, off stage we have a pleasant time together, and I've learned to enjoy a cup of tea.
We've come for Grace O'Malley.
Hello. And here she is.
A swashbuckler in the true sense, the cast of The Pirate Queen are armed to the teeth, and, like the passionate Grace O'Malley, keen to do battle.
She would never give up. I loved that. I loved that she was willing to fight for her land, for the man she loved. And she does till the day she dies. It is such a huge part. It is sung through, you know, with very intense passion that I think I will be living the life of a nun, and the discipline needs to be there. So I will be turning my life over to Granny O'Malley for probably the next year or two.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
I'm at a show.
Me too.
It's the morning of opening night. After 5 weeks of intense rehearsals, the cast use the last hours before the show to relax. Or not, as the case may be. In a quiet corner, Jeff and Julian take the opportunity to fit in one last rehearsal.
You stand to choose to wed for yourself or your clan.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Pirates Boy out of Chicago from Alain and Claude-Michel.
Pirates Booty! My name's Eric, and this is E's Big Booty. This man is rigged to go. Pirate King.
Downstairs, the countdown to showtime gets underway. No more rehearsals. In 2 hours' time, the curtain will fall and the audience will have their say.
Choreography is fantastic.
I'll be there, though I know that it's mad.
I think Hadley is stunning.
Not laid bare, strict of pride, yet still proud.
There is time.
Their voices are phenomenal.
There is time.
Must-see show. Loved it.
Costumes were outrageous.
As one we leave this day to see our Savior.
Absolutely wonderful. I would come and see it again.
Join as comrades and friends, we'll bond on our way.
I must reclaim myself, the lion reborn of the lamb. I shall bow down no more. Freed of these lies, I shall be the woman that I am.
The Pirate Queen herself, what a voice that woman has.
Father, are you listening? Give me the strength I need.
The story was fabulous.
Queen Elizabeth was hilarious. The voices were just fabulous.
I would recommend it to families, old and young. Everybody's going to love it.
Absolutely spellbound.
I love the show.
Opening night is a resounding success, but the making of the Pirate Queen is far from over. After a 6-week run in Chicago, the cast and crew of the Pirate Queen returned to 42nd Street. Despite an overwhelmingly positive response from audiences, critical reviews are mixed, and the show remains work in progress.
It's enormously helpful and extremely important to go through the baptism by fire of previews and an out-of-town run where you can begin to see what needs to come into focus.
It was a constant trial by error, which is the beauty of opening a new show. You have to just keep building one by one by one. So every night that we went on stage, we would learn more. So we left Chicago knowing that the show we put on was the very best at that moment, but that tons of changes were going to come.
You can't tell what's going to happen till the last member of the cast comes into the theatre, and the last member is the audience, really. And they tell you what's working and what's not working, and they did.
We didn't go to opening night thinking that we had finished our work. We knew there was a lot of work to be done. As someone said, you don't write a musical, you rewrite it.
We knew what we still needed to do on the show and to rework and to rewrite in terms of the story, the depth of the story, to put more the focus on the relation of the two women, how to improve the love story, each character. It's a huge rewrite process.
I love my new map, knowing better the topography of Ireland.
Before going back to work, you need to have new ideas. You need to have new blood coming into the mix of what you are trying to do.
One of the newest members of the creative team is Richard Maltby, writer of the hit movie Miss Potter.
Alain and Claude-Michel have sort of invented this form of musical theater storytelling, and it involves telling the story on music. That means that you have something to say, but it also has to be said in precisely this number of beats, and the accents have to be on the 4th beat and the 7th beat. In any other medium, you have variety. You can add another couple of words. You can have the sentence longer or shorter. And yet it has to sound absolutely natural. So you have to find natural speech that exactly conforms to those givens.
They'll be quaking in their fancy English boots.
That's what's time-consuming.
I think the other big element that we felt didn't reach its potential in Chicago was the Irishness of it, of essentially the Irish dance element.
The job of staging the revised dance sequences and weaving a host of new elements into the show falls to renowned stage director Graziella Daniele.
I've got a line here that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to fit in.
Were we doing vocally once? I go very much at work from a story point of view. Staging comes secondary. And I felt like the story wasn't clear enough for me. I thought it was extremely important that we should meet Grace and Mally immediately and her lover and give her a little physical scene in which one gets to know them and then one ruse for this woman as soon as possible.
Graziella Daniele is now making Irish dance sound like flamenco sometimes. And I think this is exactly right, because it needs that kind of passion brought to it.
I love Irish dancing. I think it's just so extraordinary, all these rhythms. And I thought that it could take more of what it had and build it in such a way that it wouldn't feel like a very presentational, like river dance is beautiful but presentational, but try to marry it organically with his people.
Well, the great thing about the end of every show, absolutely every show in Chicago, was listening to the audience reaction coming out, and absolutely everybody said They wanted more dancing. That was the challenge, really, coming back into New York.
Another enhanced element of the storyline is the relationship between Queen Elizabeth I and her right-hand man, Richard Bingham.
Insanity, your highness, utter rot. Never, not once have I been made to kneel before a woman. No, save for one year's only one, my queen.
What is it, sir, about this woman that makes her able to resist your charms?
The devil we must kill before she breathes.
That's right. Left, kick with your right. No.
In reality, I don't try any approach except being myself.
Great dance, you pick up and passe, and then you kick with this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah! I just come full of love for them, respect for them, and, you know, I give as much energy as they deserve to inspire them to do it.
Well, it doesn't work as well. You don't think when you wear each other like that.
They are doing the work. I'm not doing it. I'm suggesting things. They are doing the work.
In one moment.
Among several new songs written for the show by Alain and Claude-Michel is a thrilling opening solo for Stephanie.
So I can feel the wind down my face, and when my beckons I should go, face out the storm, not stay below, and I be woman, know that
Definitely the thing about Chicago for me was, you know, really finding its feet and finding the characters. None of the work we did in Chicago, I don't think is going to be negated. We just build upon it. Steph and I like playing around with stuff and trying new stuff every night, which is great, and I don't think you should ever shy away from that. Your instinct should always be to try out new things.
Hadley's a dream. Hadley really is a dream. He is what I would consider quite young to be carrying, you know, the male lead of a Broadway show, but his experience, his demeanor, he's happy every day, which is such a joy to come into work, and smart, very, very smart.
Charting our course here on this night.
This is a new piece of work that doesn't have its roots in a successful film or a best-selling book. At the moment, I think we're totally crazy, actually, because we have set ourselves such an enormous challenge. But then it's exhilarating and it's exciting.
here on this night our life begins. Here on this ship our voyage starts.
My excitement lies in the fact that not only have a lot of the people from New York heard the word in Chicago that it's going to be an extraordinary piece, and of course things needed to be changed and fixed, and you know, that's the nature of the beast, but that they're so on our side and they're so excited and they're so expecting the brilliance of this piece.
In my heart I hoped you would be there.
After all we've been through now, is the hour too late?
Is it too soon?
This sort of musical hasn't been done in a very long time on Broadway. They categorize it the epic musical, that it's time to show Broadway again what a big, huge, epic musical is about. And this one's gonna deliver.